News anchor Brett Mills. Thank you for joining us tonight for the second debate for Mayor of Elmira. I will be your moderator for this evening. And I just want to say that we are live from the Clemens Center, and we also have a live audience with us tonight. Each candidate was able to invite guests of their own. Supporters, 18 News, and the Clemens Center also invited guests. As a rule for tonight's debate, audience members are not allowed to show any support or opposition for either opponent. So now to those candidates for tonight. We have incumbent Mayor Dan Mandel. He's had that position since January of 2016. He's running tonight as a Republican. And his opponent for this evening is Elmira resident Jim Hassel. He is a retired educator, and he also ran for the Chemung County Legislature. He is running tonight as a Democrat. I want to take the time to thank you both for being with us tonight. And now to our panel. I'm here joined with Dr. Stephen Coleman. He is a political analyst and professor emeritus at Elmira College. And to my left is 18 News investigative reporter Nick Dabina. Now to some rules for tonight's debate. They will be each given 1 minute for their opening statements. They must not go any longer than that 1 minute, and once we all begin asking questions, they will be given 1 minute to answer. And then they will have a 15-second warning once they get to the end of that time, and once they get to the end of their time, they will hear this sound. Now, if either candidate continues to answer the question after the sound of the bell, I will be forced to cut them off. We had a coin toss yesterday to see who wanted to go first with their opening statements. Mayor Mandel did win that coin toss, and he decided to go first. So, good evening, Mayor. Your time starts now.
Good evening. Many thanks to WETM for holding tonight's debate. Since I took office in 2016, my administration turned a $3.1 million deficit into a $7.1 million surplus. We turned around the city's junk bond status and turned it into investment grade A-. Our policies have generated over $200 million in development throughout the city of Elmira. We've enhanced public safety by hiring additional officers, putting them on the street, giving them the equipment they need to do their jobs. We put flock cameras throughout the city of Elmira to protect Elmira citizens. With our American Rescue Plan funds, we issued $5,000 grants to homeowners who applied for those grants. We also applied and been awarded $4 million in state and federal grants for home and neighborhood improvements. With our efforts, we have improved the Elmira housing stock. With all our efforts and successes, recently, All-Star Home Study selected Elmira as the best small town in America. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Hassel, your time starts now.
Thank you, WTM. We live in a wonderful city in a beautiful location with great potential, but the status quo is suffocating us. We deserve better. My campaign is about a new beginning and a new direction for Elmira. It is about working together and taking care not only of our downtown, but of all our communities. We need to reinstill in our elected officials a sense of stewardship, a commitment to ensure the safety of our neighborhoods, to care for our youth, to keep up our properties, and to renew our dedication to community. We need to listen to you better. We need to take Elmira into a well-planned, thriving, and inviting community, and we need to take Elmira from a drive-through to a drive-to city, a destination that we all can be proud of.
All right. Thank you both for your opening statements. So we're going to start with the questions now, and Mr. Mayor, we're going to start with you. Why, and please be specific, should people vote for you and not your opponent?
Well, I think I pretty much laid it out in my opening statement of where we were and where we are now. The city's thriving. We've had over $200 million worth of development throughout the city of Elmira, and we're seeing more businesses come in. I've talked to a lot of people that have moved here from out of town. They love this area. We've been very successful with our finances and what we've done bringing our finances back. We've enhanced our public safety. This is a safe town. And I said earlier, as an American Home Study recently said, this is the best small town in America. So we're headed in the right directions. I'm dedicated to the city, and I want to give it another 4 years to continue the work that we've done. Thank you.
All right. Mr. Hassel.
This is not an especially safe city. We are losing population constantly. We have one of the highest rates of poverty in the United States. There is much to be done. We need to work with our communities and support them and support the agencies who are dealing with the problem issues that we have. Thank you very much.
All right, and we're going to move on now to our second question. I'm going to start with you, Mr. Hassel. The city's first dormitory-style shelter is set to open next to St. Joseph's Hospital in November. What are some other things that the city is doing or should be doing to address the nationwide homelessness crisis that we're facing here in Elmira?
Homelessness is an issue of mental health and substance abuse as well. It is an issue that we all need to face and to work together to with our agencies that are dealing with these issues and with the police. We need to support our police in their efforts to take care of crime. And so I see it as a community effort.
All right, same question to you. Mr.
Obviously,
Mayor.
my opponent has not read the statistics recently on public safety in Elmira. Elmira is a safe city. But what we need to do is get supportive housing, and that's happening right now over on Judson Street. They're looking at putting in supportive housing with 20-plus beds. With that supportive housing, you will get drug and alcohol treatment for these people that are homeless to get them back on track. But it's a very difficult endeavor trying to deal with these people because a lot of them don't want help. So we work with our police, we work with our partners to address the homeless population and try to get these people off of drugs, treat their mental health problems, and get them back into society. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Nick?
Good evening to you both, gentlemen. Mr. Mayor, we'll start with you. We have been reporting on ongoing bullying within the Elmira City School District over the last few years. Recently, the Elmira City School District also declined a Freedom of Information request regarding any violent incidents or crimes being committed within the school district. The question is this: should parents know these statistics and have more clarity on what's happening, and what can the city do to better ensure the protection of our young students, whether it be from bullying or otherwise?
Well, first of all, when it comes to the schools, they should be transparent in what's going on with bullying. It's a major problem in many schools. As we know that we have school resource officers supplied by the Chemung County Sheriff's Office to keep schools safe. These individuals that are bullies need to be handled and dealt with accordingly. And as far as the city goes, we can basically, speak to people and tell them that bullying is not acceptable in our city. But when it comes back to the schools, again, that falls back onto the school district in conjunction with our school resource officers to keep our schools safe. I think overall they're doing a pretty good job. Thank you.
But are parents receiving that information currently from the schools?
That I don't know because we don't have much, that I don't know because we don't deal a lot with the school district, but I could find that out.
Mr. Hassel, same question to you. Regarding bullying in the schools and the data on what is going on inside of our schools, what can the city do to make sure that our students are being protected and the parents have the information that they might want to have?
Well, I believe that the parents have a right to have that information, and I believe that the school needs to control issues of bullying and whatnot that arise in very strong ways. But we need to also work with agencies that will support the issues that are involved and support the people who are having troubles and causing problems. Transparency is very important, not only in our schools, but also very much so in our city.
Mr. Hassel, I'll go with you, and this is going to follow up on the same front because we did file Freedom of Information requests to obtain this information. When the city doesn't want some information released, should the city be able to push back on it, or should cities be as transparent as possible when the public is trying to find out information that is legally obtainable?
I'm all for openness and transparency. I believe that our city is not very open and transparent. It's very difficult to find out information on budgeting and on our resolutions that appear before the city council. There's very little transparency in the city, and I would definitely be very strong on that.
Would you like to answer, Mr. Hassel?
Yeah, I mean, come on, it's on the website. If you look on the website, you'll see where our budget is, you'll see the council resolutions, you see everything, the minutes and everything that's on the website. So it is transparent. Obviously, when we get a FOIA request, we turn it over to our legal team and they look at it. And if it meets the guidelines of FOIA, we will definitely get the FOIA request honored. I think it's very important for government to be transparent, to let everybody know what's going on in their government, because they elect us, and then we have that responsibility.
Just for clarity's sake, yes, sometimes there are valid reasons to not release information. Go ahead.
Mr. Mayor, as 18 News has reported, gunfire incidents in Elmira are up 12% so far in 2023. What do you think is the main reason of violent crime in Elmira, and is enough being done to combat
I'd like
that?
to see those stats again, because I see there's been a few, but a lot of these gun violence issues are basically dealing with our teenagers. These are 16 and 17-year-olds that basically, this issue falls back on the parents. Where are the parents? Why aren't they handling their children better? You know, you take that into account, and then there's other issues too. You know, we're still trying to deal with bail reform. These people and these kids know that there's no repercussions when they commit a crime. So the state's got to do their job, remove the bail reform, take the handcuffs off our police, let them do their job, and parents need to do their job to keep this community and the state safe, and it's not happening right now. So we do the best we can. We support our police, and we do everything we can that they have the tools to convict these individuals. And I'll tell you, you do a gun crime in Elmira, New York, you're going to go to prison. There's no doubt about it. They'll go to prison, and a lot of these people are getting 8, 9 years. So that's the message.
All right, Mr. Hassel, same question.
Could you repeat it, please?
As 18 News has reported, gunfire incidents are up by 12% in Elmira so far for 2023. What do you think is the main reason for violent crime in Elmira, and is enough being done to combat it?
I don't know the reason for it, but it definitely the way we need to approach it is a community effort. We need to support our agencies that are dealing with the issues that arise along with that, drugs and gun violence or guns, period. And also, we need to, we just need to work as a community, working together to bring ourselves together to find solutions and to address the needs of the people who are committing crimes. I think it's the same thing with homelessness. I mean, why is it that our homelessness is rising so much? What has been done? You know, I think we need more coordinated efforts to address the ground root causes of these issues.
All right, Dr. Coleman.
Jim Hassel, you're a Democrat. Mayor Mandel, you're a Republican. As mayor of Elmira, Jim Hassel, Dan Mandel, as mayor of Elmira, what difference does that make? Jim Hassel first.
I think it makes none whatsoever on the local level. Personally, I want to be a mayor for everyone, and I reject I reject partisan politics, and I hope that if and when I am elected, I will not have that problem. I will be able to work with everyone.
Basically, same with me. I mean, I don't play partisan politics. I include all parties when we're talking about policy within the city of Elmira, and I work well with Democrats, Republicans, Independents, Conservatives. It's important to do that to be successful. I wish our Congress and our Senate and United States Congress and Senate would do the same thing. We've been very successful working together. I had a Democrat on our city council for many years that we did very well, and he was part of our team. So as far as I'm concerned, politics does not play a lot into our decision making, other than the fact that I will say that I'm a big supporter of police, and I will continue to support them in the job they do. Thank you.
Next question here to Mayor Mandel and then to Jim Hassel, same question. Years ago, the nationally known Guardian Angels established a chapter here in Elmira. The organization's leader, Curtis Sliwa, came to speak. The local chapter, however, was unsuccessful. Would you support bringing the Guardian Angels back to patrol our streets and help fight crime? Mayor Mandel.
Absolutely not. We just hired 4 additional officers to put them on the streets. We've got the flock cameras. We're doing yeoman's work, keeping the community safe. Yeah, you have these times where you're going to have gunfire here and there, but most of this crime, let's set this straight, is not random. This is targeted gun crime. And so we got the police. They know what to do. They're doing a fantastic job. We support them. And we also have outside agencies that help, whether it be the Sheriff's Department, state police. So it's a unified effort to attack the crime in Elmira.
Same question to you.
Well, first of all, let me just say this. I believe that the police should be the ones that are involved in crime prevention and crime apprehension. I do not believe that it's an issue that anyone else should be concerned with. I also do not believe in hate, and I reject all hatred based on race, religion, ethnicity, gender. So for me, the policing needs to be done by reaching more into our communities. And we need our communities to be working with police. We need to have a coordinated effort so that our police are getting to know the people in our communities, and the people in our communities are realizing that the police really are people too. And we need to...
That's your time. So, next question. In the past year, 2 city council members have been arrested. What are your thoughts on them being able to stay on the council, and do you think they should be able to represent the city of Elmira? I'm going to start with you, Mr. Hassel.
Well, they were not. I don't think that they were terribly serious offenses myself. They have remained on the council. One is not running again, I know. So that sort of resolves that issue. I think if there were a felony, a serious felony involved, that maybe we might consider that. But other than that, I don't think that should be an issue, no.
I just want to follow up with you really quick. One of them was a misdemeanor, but it was a DWI. Are you saying that that's not serious?
No, I would say a DWI is serious, but I would say it's not a felony.
Okay. Mr. Mayor?
Yeah, thank you. Both of those crimes were, in my opinion, pretty serious. The decision for them to stay on council is strictly their decision. I talked to both individuals. They have to make that decision. The people that elected them, they have to answer to them. One is not running, one is. The only one that can remove a council person or anybody from office is the governor. And it has to be pretty egregious. Now, I don't think this raised the level to egregiousness to remove them from office, but they have a lot of explaining to do their constituents for their behavior, quite frankly. I mean, people do make mistakes, so.
All right, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm going to start with Mr. Hassel again. Do you think that police services in Chemung County should be consolidated, yes or no, and why?
No, sir. I think that the, well, I think it's a complicated issue. Yes, in some ways I think that we could consolidate police services within the communities, within the cities adjacent to Elmira. If we could save money that way, I think, and provide better services, police services to our communities, then I think that probably would be a good idea. In fact, the police and fire services are coordinating with other towns in our area. So I see it as a positive thing, but in terms of making it a county-wide policing or fire service, no, I do not.
All right, Mr. Mayor, same question to you.
Yeah, I've had almost 30 years of experience with law enforcement, so I can say no. Consolidation doesn't work. We do have mutual assistance that works very well. We know policing, it costs taxpayers money, but taxpayers want their safety. And, you know, it's been proven that taxpayers want their own police department too. So to consolidate them, I would say no. Basically, the mutual assistance does work, and that's what it is. And also, I do want to comment quickly on another issue. When it comes to community and police involvement and engaging, that's happening now. We have different organizations that we work with the police department, and it's been very effective in getting our police into the community, working with the community, and it's worked out quite well. So, thank you.
All right, Mr. Mayor. Nick?
Mr. Mayor, I'll go to you. You're running for a third term. Should you win, you would be in office for 12 years. Do you believe in term limits for the city of Elmira?
No, I don't, because we're a small community. So the bottom line is the voters make that decision, whether they want me for a third term or not. It's based on my performance. Frankly, I think my performance has been, I've done very well. You can just see it in the city right now with all the development that's going on. and the new things that are happening in the city, the people that are starting to move into the city. So it's up to the voters. Term limits, to me, it's hard to find qualified people to run for office in a city this size. So I'm right now against term limits.
Mr. Hassel, do you believe in term limits?
I certainly do. I personally would prefer 2 terms as the limit. I think that career politics, which is what Mr. Mandel is talking about, is a disservice to democracy. And there are plenty of people who will run. We need new ideas constantly. We need a turnover. We need new challenges. So I think that new involvement in our politics and new people running is important. It refreshes us. It gives us new life.
Mr. Mayor, would you like to respond to that comment?
Absolutely. For a whole hot $11,500 a year, I don't think I'm a career politician. I do it because I love the community, and I do my dedicated service to this community because I love the community. Again, you know, if you're doing a good job and things are headed in the right direction, you know, there should not be term limits on a small community like this, in my opinion. And I'll be honest with you, I received calls from Democrats and Republicans asking me to run for a 3rd term. It's very demanding, this job, and I give it 150% because I love this community, and I'm looking forward to do the next 4 years for the same reasons. I'm not doing it for any type of personal gain. I'm doing it simply because I love Elmira. I was born and raised here, and I see a lot of movement. Look, if I didn't see the movement that we see right now and the improvement, we're going through a renaissance right now, I would not have ran for a 3rd term. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I'll go to you. The latest U.S. Census data shows that for Chemung County, the population is declining. It also shows the age group 65 and above is growing, younger age groups are contracting. What does that mean for the city of Elmira going forward, and what other initiatives would you put forward to make sure our seniors, which is a growing population, have what they need?
I think we do that right now, quite frankly. The cost of living in Elmira is very, very reasonable. We're 28% of the state average, and I think about 70% of the national average of cost of living. So that helps the seniors out because they run on a tight budget. We have affordable housing for them, which helps them. Like I said earlier, we support them with our police because safety is very important to our seniors. We make sure our police are properly staffed. We have enough officers out there to assist them. We have plenty of services for our seniors. Office of the Aging is wonderful for working with our seniors. As far as younger people go, it's hard because New York State's got to change the way it does business. But I will say this, with the LECOM coming in here now, I'm starting to see younger and younger people come into our city. I hope that trend continues. Thank you.
Mr. Hassel, same question to you. What does a growing aging population mean for the city going forward in various aspects? And what would you do to make sure our seniors have what they need?
It's true that people are moving here because, or older people are moving here because it is a very affordable city to live in. But our poverty rate is excessive. It's much higher than most of New York. And it's no wonder that we're losing our population of young people. We need to find incentives to keep our children, our young people here. We need to direct our attention more towards educational programs, towards mentoring, and other ways of creating entrepreneurship and creating jobs for our young people. But yeah, we need to work with both, in other words.
Jim Hassel, whether it's splash pads, swimming pools, parking meters, or the downtown parking garage, Elmira seems at times to be the city of fiascos. What can be done to remedy this situation?
There's a simple answer to that. It's called good planning, which we do not do. We have no vision. We continue to tear down buildings and create parking lots. This simply causes blight. It takes buildings and properties off of the tax rolls. We are not doing what we really need to do to build our city properly.
Thank you, Jim Hassel. Mayor Mandel, what say you?
Basically, I strongly disagree. If you haven't seen the development that's happening right now in Elmira, then you're not paying attention. As far as the tearing down of buildings and that, some of that's happened before I was even elected. A lot of these historic buildings have been let go by years of neglect. When you talk about splash pads, when it comes to Brand Park Pool, unfortunately that has to come down. Many years of neglect, blight, and it's not even salvageable. Splash pads offer a place where children can go with their families, enjoy them. Right now, to be honest with you, to open a municipal pool is very difficult. When it comes to the parking meters, they're going to be upgraded here shortly, and they have been a problem. They really have been a problem that we need to address, and we are doing that right now. The parking garage, the same thing. We're ready to put over $2 million in infrastructure, and we're going to be talking about adding security cameras and new elevators.
Thank you. Mayor Mandel, this one's for you. Why should a person of sound mind relocate to Elmira?
Well, I can tell you, I've talked to several people that have. One, it's easy to get around Elmira. Two, the crime is basically low compared to a lot of communities. There's a lot of things to do here in the city, and we're centrally located. Let's face it, we're centrally located. You can go to Syracuse, you can go to New York City, you can go to Buffalo, you can go Philadelphia. So it's a great place. We got the Finger Lakes. Then we have the Clemens Center. We have a lot of things to do here in Elmira with Dunfield, the Clemens Center, and the First Arena. So that's why. It's a great quality of life for people that want to move here, and that's exactly what the people who have moved here have told me.
Mr. Hassel, your response?
Yeah, people come here because it's beautiful, first of all, and but in terms of things to do, yeah, there are things to do, and we can probably appeal more to the elderly than we can to the young people who will all tell you there's nothing to do here. So we need to reform our ways and address the needs of everyone, including our youth.
All right, Mr. Hassel, tenants who live in Elmira properties are saying that their rents are too high and many landlords don't care about maintaining their properties. Do you agree or disagree with this? And if you do agree with it, what will you do about it?
Okay, would you say, what do I agree with again, please?
Do you agree that Elmira residents are saying that the rents are too high and landlords don't care?
Well, rents probably are too high. But we do need to address affordable housing in our community, definitely, both in the city and in our surrounding communities.
And
definitely.
what will you do?
We also need to address, we need to incentivize people to invest in the city, that is to say, to buy homes. And there are ways of doing that through, for example, urban homesteading, for example. And so my sense is that we also need to clean up our neighborhoods because many of them are deteriorating because of slumlords, and they need to be, and they're losing their property values, other people around them. So this is a major issue, and it certainly decreases the opportunity for people to have homes in our city.
Okay, Mr. Mayor, same question.
Yeah, actually, housing prices or housing value actually went up in the city of Elmira. And we do have affordable housing for these people that need it too. We just recently renovated the Girard Apartments over on Lake Street. We have a new development over on East Church Street. It's going to be affordable. And basically Libertad too, which is the old Jones Court, when I was first elected, pushed that to get that renovated and used. So we have that. The rents in Elmira, quite frankly, are below the national average, so it is affordable. I know it's tough for some people to make ends meet, but overall, we have affordable and we have market rate. Some people afford the market rate, other people need the affordable. So when it comes to the landlords, there are some landlords we have problems with. We send code out, we cite them, and we hold them accountable. We do everything we can. And then, like I said, what we did with our City Rise and our other grants, we've actually improved a lot of the housing in the city of Elmira.
All right, thank you.
This is for Mayor Mandel. Mr. Mayor, this past summer, the city paved some of its busiest streets, but some streets, such as Water and Church, from I-86 to downtown are still in bad shape. Is there anything the city can do to get ahead of its street paving needs?
Yeah, thank you for asking me that. Actually, our streets were graded here recently, and it's the best they've been in decades. Those two streets are actually next on our list to be totally redone. West Water Street, as you know, there was a project that's coming next year where that's going to all be redone. But look around these side streets that we've done this year. We've done miles and miles of repaving, whether it be mill and fill or whether it be overlays. I know by my house there's Erie Street on the other side of the river. There's been numerous streets that have been paved. So they're in much better condition than they are now, and we're going to continue that trend. The infrastructure overall in the city of Elmira since I was elected is much better than it was back in 2016.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Hassel, what say you?
I say we continue to pave our streets, definitely, and we need to identify the ones, particularly in neighborhoods that need it seriously, that are disenfranchised. We need to pay attention to them. And really, the issue is less, I think, in paving streets than it is in other things, other infrastructure upkeeps. For example, in sidewalks. As for infrastructure generally, we have a poor record of taking care of our buildings in the city. We don't seem to think that the code requirements apply to the city, so I think that it's time we reevaluated things.
Thank you. Mr. Hassel, this question is for you. If one buys a home in Elmira and one finds that school and property taxes are higher than a lot of other places around the state, why is this? And can anything be done to give homeowners a tax break? Again, Mr. Hassel, and then after that, the mayor will get his shot. Mr. Hassel.
I think that there are ways that we can try to give taxpayers a break. One is to green up our city. We need to plant more trees. We need to turn to green energy, which will save us a lot of money. We need to consider nonprofits that are not paying property taxes, but are not paying for the services that we offer to the community. And those services are being paid by you and me. I don't know. What's the solution? We need to seriously talk about this. Thank you.
All right. Basically, the city of Elmira, since I was elected, the last few years, we've been holding the line on taxes, and that's because of the fiscal position that we're in. But let's face it, we're the only municipality in Chemung County that have a paid police and a paid fire. Okay, that costs money. So to sit there and promise people you're going to give them a tax break, you're lying to them. Hold the line on taxes? Absolutely. That I will tell you is going to happen in the next several years after when I am reelected because of our fund balance situation right now and the fact that we have fiscal responsible practices here in the city. So that's the issue right there. Taxes in New York are high. There's a lot of mandates with the state that they put on the county, which trickles down to us when it comes to sales tax. So it's navigating through difficult times, but we've done a really good job. I mean, our bond rating, for crying out loud, has went to A- from a junk bond status, which allows us to borrow at a lower rate. And again, basically hold the line on taxes.
Mr. Mayor and Candidate Hassel, a follow-up to you both. Quick follow-up. I want you to discuss the condition of sidewalks in many of the neighborhoods in Elmira, New York. Mr. Mayor.
Sidewalks, are the burden of the homeowner. I just did my own. But we are looking at a study with the county planning to see if we can get some funding to improve the sidewalks. When we did that $5,000 ARP grant to the homeowners, a lot of them put new sidewalks in. That's what we were hoping to get out of that grant. So that's what we're going to do. Again, a lot of people I understand cannot afford putting new sidewalks in, so we got to find ways. And I believe this county planning study that we're going to do and trying to get that funding to help people pay for new sidewalks will pay off in the long run.
Candidate Jim Hassel, your position on the sidewalks of Elmira.
On the sidewalks, first of all, I would say perhaps the ARI money was used for that. It makes me wonder who received these $5,000 awards. because I personally know of one person who's very wealthy, received an award with no questions asked, and another person who applied and was provided so many conditions that she eventually gave up. She was not so wealthy. I'd like to know how much money was dispersed and how it was used. The care of sidewalks is the responsibility of the homeowner, but there is no reason for us not to provide incentives, particularly in lower income neighborhoods, to help people to do that. And by the way, we also need to take care of all of the facilities, all of our structures that are based on concrete, such as our
That's your time.
parks.
Moving on to the next question, there was new gun laws that were passed and signed by the governor about background checks for the purchase of gun and ammunition, and they've gotten the attention of the Supreme Court, and they're set to meet on October 6th. About those laws, so do you agree with the laws that were passed, and if the Supreme Court rules them unconstitutional, what would be your reaction? I'm going to start with you, Mr. Hassel.
I'm not sure what those laws specified.
The laws about the purchase of a gun and ammunition. Governor Hochul signed.
Okay, well, I'm not sure about the specificity of that, but what I would say is this. I would definitely favor limiting the sale of any arms to people who are mentally unhealthy
Just to follow
and to criminals.
Just to follow up with you, Mr. Hassel, if you're going to be the mayor of Elmira, do you think it's appropriate that you don't know what laws the governor has signed?
Well, I'm unfamiliar with that one, but I don't think that I should be expected to know everything.
But you knew you were coming to this debate tonight.
Pardon me?
You knew you were coming to this debate tonight.
Well, I didn't know that we were going to be talking about state issues.
It's a state issue and it's a city issue. We just said that gunfire was up.
Well, look, there are ways that we can address gun-related violence. There are ways that we can address gun-related violence, and we don't need to reinvent the wheel. New York City, Philadelphia, they have programs for gun buyback or for amnesty for people who are using drugs and guns in their activities. So, and there are other programs such as in Brooklyn, where there is more community policing than we do. So I think that there are ways of addressing these issues.
All right, thank you, Mr. Hassel. Mayor?
Yeah, these gun laws coming out of Albany are ridiculous. First of all, what they do is they hinder the gun owner that's the legal gun owner. Most of these guns that are being committed in crimes are basically crimes that are committed with illegal guns. Background checks, when they go to buy a gun, come on. I mean, these people are given a background check when they get their permit. If something happens and they have a domestic violence incident, or if there's an issue with mental health, those guns are pulled by one of the local agencies. So all that Albany's doing right now is making it more difficult for the legal gun owner to own guns. If I put a gun right here, right now, it's not going to shoot itself. Okay? It takes a person to pull that trigger. That's where the problem begins. And I have no problem with mental health checks, because that needs to happen, but that happens during the initial background check. And again, it comes back to, on these mass shootings, it comes back to family and friends. When you see something, say something, because that's how law enforcement is going to find out how to arrest these people and get these people the help they need.
All right, Nick?
Mr. Mayor, the people of Elmira will vote for mayor, but they do not get to vote for city manager. That is an appointed position. That's the way it's been for quite some time. How do you rate the performance of the current city manager, Michael Collins, and should you win, will he be staying on?
Thank you for that question. Absolutely. Look, at the city manager, when he took over, we had a financial mess. It's just after I took office. What he did is he consolidated the personnel department. He took on that endeavor, which saved us $100,000. He's always accessible. He's always going to different events. He has a very good working relationship with all the agencies that work for Elmira, whether it be fire, police, DPW. He's done a yeoman's job, and he's always available, and absolutely, I would definitely keep him on.
Mr. Hassel, to you, have you selected somebody who you think could be your city manager? And again, this is somebody who handles the day-to-day business of the city.
Would I do what?
Do you have anybody in mind for who would be your city manager who will handle the day-to-day operations of
I
the
do
city?
not as yet, but I am looking. Yes, sir.
Okay. Mr. Mayor, to follow up on the garage, as you said, the city is investing upwards of $2 million into the Centertown parking garage right across the street. Freedom of Information requests show that in the month of August alone, the Elmira PD responded 13 different times for various reasons. They also do a lot of patrols in there as well. There was also a cleanup conducted inside the garage prior to a leak-on ceremony, which is the medical school,
Right.
at the request of the Clemens Center, where graffiti was painted over and other things were cleaned up. Should people who use the garage every day be able to expect a safe and clean environment at all times, not just when an influential entity requests it?
Yeah, absolutely. They should expect it, and they deserve it, basically. The parking garage, again, with our updates that we're going to do here shortly with the infrastructure, the bottom line is you need somebody in there 24/7 to patrol it, and that's not going to happen. It's just cost prohibitive. As far as the people that go in there and commit the crimes, all they get is an appearance ticket, and they're back on the street, and they're back in the parking garage. So it's a very difficult task to keep those people out of there. As we move forward with the parking garage, you'll see those changes coming very soon. You will see our crews over there cleaning up periodically to keep that parking garage clean, and so we'll make sure it's a clean environment. And I will say it, for the most part, it is a very safe parking garage. There's been very little crime, if any at all, that I can remember.
Well, the upper levels are not as occupied as the lower levels. We have done some reporting that, yes, at some times there are individuals who use that, especially as we move into the winter. They use that for shelter. You mentioned that cameras might be installed. Will those cameras be in the stairwells? Because they're currently not.
Yeah, that's be my recommendation, is to put camera in the stairwells and the camera maybe with some motion lights on the top of the garage. You know, presence is the best way to keep people like that from doing what they do. Again, unfortunately, we'll go to the next best thing, which is surveillance.
I want to follow up on the garage, but I want to give you, sir, a chance to respond. The status of the Centertown garage, same question to you. Should it be okay that it gets cleaned up when an influential entity requests it, but what about the day-to-day for the people of Elmira?
Yeah, I think it should be taken care of constantly. And we do need cameras and other devices to vigilate the traffic there and what's going on in the parking garage. Parking garage is important for downtown Elmira, and particularly when Elmira begins to rebuild and put in building infill in our downtown, we're going to need that space for parking, and it will fill up. So, I think that whatever can be done to keep it safe is a valuable thing for our city.
Follow up, last question on the garage. But the elevators, as far as our reporting is concerned, for many months, at least since January, they've been out of service. One was briefly repaired for this LECOM event, but all three of them at last check are down. Is that not an issue with the American with Disabilities Act, and when will that be addressed finally?
It probably is an issue with the American Disabilities Act. I don't know what the solution is. I know that that has been the case, and certainly elevators are important. People need it, and particularly elderly people need it. We need to make our city a walkable city, an inviting city. So anything we can do to promote that is valuable.
So Mayor, back to you. Within those $2 million, is an elevator fixed in that money?
I was going to tell you, I've got the answer for that for the elevators. Yes, they are. We are going to be purchasing elevators, new elevators for the garage, and they will be installed as soon as we get them, and as soon as all the quotes come back and we get our bidder, lowest bidder, in to do the job.
We have a rough timetable on when, or?
I wish I could tell you. Government doesn't always move at the speed of light, and I'm coming from private business with my parents, and I sometimes don't like the way government moves, so as soon as possible.
Thank you, Mayor.
All right. Mr. Mayor, should sticker shops be able to continue to operate in Elmira? It appears that one still is, even after last week's state raid on 2 of them and the owner's home. What should the city be doing to shut them all down?
We've already started. I've been working in conjunction with Senator O'Mara. We sent the names of these sticker shops up to Albany. It's their job to shut them down. They curated the problem. It goes through their Office of Cannabis Management and Taxation and Finance. Quite frankly, Office of Cannabis Management does not have enough investigators to shut them all down, but we made such a to-do about the one that was over by Burn Dairy and the one on Water Street that they finally came down and took action. So they should not be operating. They're not what was meant to be when they did the initial law. The state, quite frankly, screwed up the law. They have closed those loopholes. So we will continue to work with Office of Cannabis Management, Taxation, and Finance to get these places shut down. So if they're doing business now, my recommendation is to shut down now.
Is there anything that the city could be doing more of, though, to get?
We are
them
looking at
stopped?
doing an ordinance now that they've changed the loophole in the law. Our city attorneys are working on that right now.
Okay, Mr. Mayor, thank you. Mr. Hassel, the same question to you.
I think we should shut them down if they're not if they have not applied for a license. I think they should be required to have that to function. And if not, we need to shut them down. We need to shut them down permanently, not to let them open up again the next day. This is wrong. So I believe in the law, and that's what we need to follow.
What more do you think could be done on a city level?
Some cities around us have eliminated sticker shops altogether. So I guess it could be done. I don't know that I would favor that, no. But I do favor shutting down any sticker shops that are not being licensed, currently being licensed. Look, we have a problem with the kind of drugs that are delivered to our city. And some are extremely unhealthy, and we are finding people in our hospitals who have laced drugs. This is unhealthy. This is wrong. You know, so we need to enforce our laws on this matter.
And another question for you, Mr. Mayor. The opioid crisis continues to be a top story in our newscast. So what is being done on the city level to help prevent that happening here?
We work with our partners, Casa Trinity. Obviously, they've got a new outpatient over on Stoll Street. And they're currently, like I said earlier, working to build a supportive services housing on Judson Street, which I totally support. That'll give us over 20 beds. And you got to get these people into treatment. This is a bad situation when people are dying from fentanyl, and we know what a lot of the problem is the open border and these people coming across and the cartels. But regardless, we gotta take care of our own, get them into treatment, and look, it comes back onto the families. If you have a child or a loved one or a relative that you think is using an opiate, please get them help as soon as possible, because the consequences are deadly, and it's a nationwide problem, and it's got to stop.
Mr. Hassel, same question to you.
Yes, it is a serious problem, and I think we need to address it. We need to care for people who are suffering from drug addiction, and or find the best ways possible to do that. We need to get them off the street, and we need to get them care. I highly support doing that and finding the ways to do that. I know it's difficult. So it's a horrible thing we're facing in our society, and we need to really, really come down strong and develop a plan to address it, in which all of us are participating, including all of the agencies that we have in our communities, in our community anyway, that are involved in drug abuse and mental health issues and whatnot. Thank you.
Dr. Coleman.
Mayor Mandel, how big a problem is no cash bail?
The bail reform, no cash bail, it's a disaster. So again, this is attributing to our homeless population. The county jail has a population of about 120 people right now. Back before bail reform, it was like 160. A lot of these people were being sent to jail because they're committing, albeit minor crimes. But once they get into the jail's pretty much turned into a service type setting. These people are getting counseling with drug and alcohol counselors, mental health, and they're getting referred. Now, whether they follow through when they get out of jail, but at least it gives them a fighting chance. It's also causing a lot of problems with violent crime. We had one individual that committed a home invasion, and due to this bail reform, was let out, and another week later, he kills somebody. It's unconscionable that a state would pass cashless bail. It's ridiculous. They need to go back to the way the bail was set before and let the judges handle it. And basically, we have ways that here with Project for Bail and pre-probation release to get those people that need to get out of jail at least supervised when they're out on bail.
Candidate Hassel, what say you?
I say that people who commit serious crimes with arms or violence should be incarcerated. I have no problem with that. And bail reform may have certain characteristics that are helpful, but when it comes to serious crime, we do not need to let these people out of jail.
Mr. Hassel, many citizens in Elmira are afraid to walk the streets after dark. Are you? And would you want your wife walking the streets alone late at night in the wee hours of the morning?
Well, the neighborhood I live in is fairly safe, and people do walk. They walk late at night and they walk in the morning, early in the morning. It's not a primary issue where I am, but it certainly is in many neighborhoods, and I've talked to so many people who will not let their families outside, including their children, after certain hours or early in the morning. No. So these are the issues of community that come back to us that we need to address, that are involved, that inevitably involve mental health, drug addiction, and perhaps homelessness as well. So I just think that we need to work as a community to try to improve our actual neighborhoods, our neighborhoods where the people are involved in being vigilant about what's going on in their neighborhoods. That is also an issue for us.
Mr. Mayor, your response.
I walk the city streets all the time. And matter of fact, recently I attended a concert over at First Arena, and I walked down the street about 11 o'clock at one of these streets that were so-called dangerous, and there was nobody out, and I didn't feel threatened at all.
Would you want your wife to be walking around alone at 3 o'clock in the morning in downtown Elmira?
Sure, why not? Why wouldn't she? Basically, as I said, most of the crimes you see here in the city of Elmira are targeted. They're not random crimes. I feel very safe in the city, and I've been to communities where I don't feel so safe. This is not one of them. So I would have no problem with my wife or myself or, for that matter, anyone walking the streets of Elmira. So.
Mr. Mayor, but do you think there's something to be said for residents feeling the fear?
Well, it's perception. Basically, I don't know how you change that perception, but if you look, again, at the crimes that are being committed, it's basically, they're not random. They're targeted crimes, so they can feel safe walking the streets of Elmira. And the crime statistics show it. One of the things with this American Homes, the study they did is that Elmira is a very safe city based on a recent FBI crime statistics. So, it is a safe city. But again, perception is reality. I'm here to tell you Elmira is a safe city. You can walk the streets. You're not going to get robbed. You're not going to get mugged. You're not going to get shot.
I want to clarify something that was discussed earlier, very quickly clarify something. Mr. Hassel, you mentioned that the city manager, Mike Collins, you are considering who would be your city manager.
Correct.
Does that mean you're not satisfied with the current city manager, Mike Collins?
There's some things about his work that I'm not particularly happy about. I do not think he's transparent. I do not think he's receptive to people very well. And I think his style of management is not exactly what I would be particularly
so, in your opinion,
inclined.
In your opinion, Mr. Hassel, is it time for City Manager Mike Collins to go?
I think if I can find someone that I would like to work with better, definitely.
Is that a yes?
That's a yes.
But you're leaving open the possibility of keeping him on as your city manager?
Well, at least for the time being, I don't know. I'm looking.
Thank you, Mr. Hassel. Mr. Mayor, you mentioned you went to a show at the First Arena. When the First Arena first opened in 2000, it was touted as an economic engine that could help revitalize downtown Elmira. It's recently come under new management, as you well know. It's now under the Chemung County Industrial Development Agency. Prior managements have been Elmira Mammoth and others. Why has the arena struggled to live up to its expectations?
Well, I thought initially when it was built, it probably wasn't the best place or best idea, but these arenas are very, very difficult to be successful. Well, usually what happens, if you look what happened with Binghamton, is that Broome County ended up taking over the arena, and they ended up basically realizing that the arena's basically going to run in the red most of the time. So we want it to succeed. We're hoping this new plan that they come up with the IDA, that it does work. I know they're out there marketing. I've seen different concerts coming. We got the hockey team going, and so I'm hoping it's going to be a huge success. But you know, these arenas are very difficult, and they're so.
Should the first arena be privately held and run and not run by the county?
I think at some point it definitely should be. If they could sell it to somebody that would like to purchase it, one, it would go back on the tax rolls, and two, they'd you know, they'd be responsible for the upkeep and everything instead of the IDA.
Now, there are other venues that book consistent shows and pack their venues, but not the arena. And the Elmira River Sharks, they recently announced that their home game has been rescheduled due to some issues with the ice machine. So let's go to you, Mr. Hassel. What is your opinion of the first arena? Why does it struggle to be as successful as it could be, and what would you do about changing that?
Well, first of all, it was ill-conceived, I think, right from the beginning. It does suffer from needs. I mean, it's certainly not in the best shape possible. It's fortunate that the city has gotten rid of it, although it did pump a lot of money into that building. So I think at least for the time being, we're stuck with it. I like hockey, but you know, we don't. We need more of an infrastructure and businesses down around the arena to really make it thrive. And I hope we'll get there.
And do you think the arena should be privately run instead of the county?
Well, I certainly would like to see it on the tax rolls.
All right. This question is for both of you. I'm going to start with Mayor Mandel. If you're elected in November, what will you do as mayor that's new and innovative and not business as usual?
Basically, we're going to start concentrating more on our neighborhoods. Our neighborhoods need work. We'll be going for some more grants to help with properties and do that. We will continue the development that's already happening. We've got a new project right now over at the old Beecher, or excuse me, the former Booth School that's happening. So we will continue to do what we're doing because we have been successful. And, you know, there's a lot of other things as far as neighborhood improvements and so forth that we'll be doing.
Mr. Hassel.
Well, we started our downtown, and there's still, of course, a lot to be done. But this money needs to go to the communities around our downtown, particularly the communities that have been disenfranchised, like District 2 or 5 or 6. This is where we need to concentrate our efforts, and we need to grow our community centers, and we need to develop more associations and programs for our youth in these areas. So I'm looking at concentrating our attention particularly on the areas that are in real need in Elmira.
All right, Mr. Mandel.
Yeah, actually, we're just the other thing that I really want to concentrate on is the south side. We know that needs a lot of attention. That's why we just submitted for a $10 million DRI grant to bring in some money to revitalize the south side. Federally qualified health center, sinking money into the buildings that need that. We'll have a building fund. We're hopeful we're going to get that $10 million to revitalize that part of the downtown. As you've seen on the north side, it was very successful, and we're hoping we are awarded this again based on the enormous success that we had with our first DRI.
All right, well, that's going to have to be our last question for this evening. I want to thank you both, you know, for coming in and having this debate. And just a note before we go, I would like to take a moment, as we just did, to thank both of our candidates for joining us tonight. And just a reminder, the general election is quickly approaching. That election will be taking place on November 7th. So make sure that you are registered to vote. And as we get closer to that election, here's a quick look at some important deadlines that are approaching. You have until October 23rd to turn in your applications for vote by mail. That's the 23rd of October. And you have until October 28th to register to vote. Again, I want to thank the candidates for being here tonight. I want to thank our audience, both at home and here at the Clemens Center. And I want to thank our panelists, 18 News investigative reporter Nick Dabina and Dr. Stephen Coleman for being here. And I just want to say it's always a pleasure to be here with 18 News, for all of us here at 18 News. I'm Brett Mills. Thank you for joining us. Good night.